This model is showing the neural tube and its derivatives. This is the first stage where we have the cephalic part of the neural tube, which is giving rise to three primary brain vesicles: the prosencephalon, mesencephalon and rhombencephalon, otherwise referred to as forebrain vesicle, midbrain vesicle and hindbrain vesicle. The caudal part of the neural tube will completely develop into spinal cord. Later what happens is, these three primary brain vesicles will further undergo subdivision, giving rise to secondary brain vesicle. For example, the prosencephalon gives rise to the telencephalon and diencephalon. Mesencephalon will not give rise to any secondary vesicle and persist like it. The rhombencephalon will further subdivide into metencephalon and myelencephalon. Each brain vesicle will have a lumen in the center and surrounding wall. For example, in the caudal part, the lumen will form the central canal of the spinal cord and the wall will give rise to the grey matter and the white matter, which contain neurons as well as nerve tracts. If we talk about the brain vesicles, the wall of telencephalon, as we see, this yellow colored structure is the secondary brain vesicle called as telencephalon. So telencephalon will ultimately give rise to cerebral hemisphere, and walls of telencephalon will give rise to cerebral hemisphere, whereas the cavity of the telencephalon will develop into lateral ventricle. The diencephalon, as we can see, will develop into thalamus, hypothalamus, epithalamus and metathalamus. This is from the wall of diencephalon again. The cavity of the diencephalon will give rise to the third ventricle. Then the next brain vesicle we have is the mesencephalon or midbrain vesicle, and this, as we can see, will give rise to the midbrain, the smallest portion of the brainstem. The wall of mesencephalon will give rise to midbrain, whereas the cavity will develop into cerebral aqueduct. Then when we talk about the metencephalon and myelencephalon, the metencephalon will give rise to pons and cerebellum. The myelencephalon will give rise to medulla oblongata. The cavity of metencephalon and myelencephalon will form the fourth ventricle.